Edward had grown into a young man. At 18, he was an honors student and played both baseball and soccer for his high school. His senior year was going smoothly, and several colleges were eager for him to join them. But Edward wasn't paying much attention to the college offers. He and the family knew that his first duty was to the church, so he planned to spend time in the mission field before pursuing higher education. Emily, at 16, was as beautiful as her mother. She had inherited the same hair, eyes, walk, and mannerisms, all of which made her strikingly similar to her mom. Emily would grow into a remarkable woman, just like her mother. Tonight, she would share a story about forgiveness. A friend of hers, not a member of our church, had made a mistake and found herself expecting a child. Emily would speak about how this situation had affected the young woman and her family. Thankfully, the woman had chosen adoption. She would need all the support she could get during such a difficult time. The twins, Aaron and Eric, were 13. They had their constant squabbles, but despite that, their bond was strong. They were both independent in their own ways, neither looking alike nor thinking alike, but they excelled in their studies. Robert was the brainiac of the family. Even in kindergarten, he was far ahead of his peers, with tests showing intelligence levels beyond any standard measurement. At just 10 years old, he was taking college courses as a 5th grader. My wife and I worried about him. His exceptional intellect made him seem out of place, and we feared he might struggle to find his footing in a world that didn't quite understand him. Joanna, our youngest at 7, was a mini version of her mother. As the baby of the family, she was the center of attention, and she loved every minute of it. The family would jokingly say she was spoiled, but we all adored her with all our hearts. Virginia, my wife, was the heart of our family. She kept everything together. She knew exactly where each child was and what they were doing, every single moment of the day. The calendar in our kitchen held every appointment, practice, meeting, and pickup time. I honestly believed if she ever lost that calendar, our family would fall apart. Virginia hadn't changed a bit since I first met her at church nearly 21 years ago. She still had the same black hair and green eyes, a womanly figure that was just as attractive as when we first got married. At 5'9", she could still fit into her wedding dress, and every anniversary, she would wear it just for me in our bedroom, recreating that magical night. How did she manage it? Even with 5 kids, she always made it a point to wear that dress every year. And I loved her more with each passing day, more than when I first made those promises and vows. She truly had my heart. As for me, I was 46 years old, an active member of the church, and ran a small, well-known manufacturing company. We specialized in high-tech surveillance equipment for both the security industry and the federal government. My name's Hiram Anderson. I'm just an average guy, working, taking care of my family, and saving for the future. Just a regular husband to the most beautiful woman in the world. Family night was winding down. I had spent the day deep in some tough work negotiations and was feeling drained. Each child shared stories about their week, joys, disappointments, and plans for the coming days. It was a typical family night. Then Virginia stood up to talk about her week, and everything in my world shifted. I need to ask for the family's forgiveness. I've made a terrible mistake, a big mistake. I've been unfaithful and broken my marriage vows. This will not happen again. I'm asking each of you to pray for me and try to forgive me. I'm so sorry, but right now, I can't say anything more. I'm seeing the bishop tomorrow. I love all of you so much, especially Hiram, my husband. The room, which had been filled with the sound of laughter and light conversation, fell into a heavy silence. It was as if a massive stone had been thrown into calm water. Everyone had questions, but my voice was absent. I sat there, stunned, unable to breathe. Please, understand. I know you want to know more. I can't tell you more right now, and I won't discuss it with anyone but your father. And that was it. Family night ended there. Emily gave the closing prayer, asking for the family to stay united, for forgiveness and understanding for her mother, and for strength. Afterward, there was a snack. Joanna, with a smile on her face, served me, but I stared at her as though she were a stranger. My mind was racing, still processing the words, "I've been unfaithful." Later that night, after visiting each of the kids in their rooms, I found Virginia waiting for me in our bedroom. We had a large 3-story house, each floor having rooms for the kids. The master bedroom was on the first floor, with 4 bedrooms for the children on the second. The third floor housed Robert's suite, which he and I had built together for his 15th birthday. Normally, my rounds of checking on the kids took about 15 minutes, but tonight, it seemed to take longer. Each child had questions I couldn't answer. They were all afraid our family was falling apart, and I struggled to reassure them. I told them their mother and I would talk and figure things out, and that I didn't anticipate any drastic decisions. The fifth child, Robert, had no questions. "Dad, you will never hurt like this again. You've never been hurt like this before. Just remember, God never gives us trials without a way to overcome them." He was as wise as his intellect suggested. When I finally entered the master bedroom, Virginia was already in bed, or rather, getting into bed. We slept without clothes, though robes hung by the door if we needed to attend to the kids. "Hiram, I know you want to talk, but I need to see the bishop first. Then we can talk. Please, wait until after I meet with him tomorrow," she said, facing the wall and pulling the blanket up around her shoulders. I prepared for bed, lying on my side, but my thoughts were a whirlwind of images, dark, painful thoughts of my wife with other men. I couldn't bear it and rushed to the bathroom to vomit. I sat in the rocker where we'd rocked our children to sleep, but for some reason, I couldn't cry. I didn't fall asleep until late, and when I woke, I realized I hadn't said my bedtime prayer for the first time in my life. The next morning, breakfast, which was normally filled with noise and chatter, was quiet. Virginia and I had nothing to say to each other. The kids were unusually silent. It wasn't breakfast at the Anderson house, it felt more like a funeral. I loaded up the car to take the kids to their schools. Only Robert stayed behind, as he went to the university with his mother on Thursdays. The drive to work was eerily silent, and my mind was still reeling. Who? When? Why? Had I failed her? Could I forgive her? Were the children really mine? A big contract was on the horizon. We were in the final stages of negotiating with a major distributor of our surveillance equipment. Donal, the distributor, wanted a short 2-year deal with a discount, while I was aiming for a longer contract at the highest price possible. There were challenges with the Chinese copying our products, and I needed a company like Donal's to help protect my patent and secure our future. But my mind wasn't on business. It wasn't until lunch that my secretary told me I was too distracted and sent me home. Home. Where I didn't want to go. I called our bishop. "Bishop Ferguson, Hiram Anderson here. I need to see you as soon as possible. I'm meeting with the counselors right now. Can it wait?" "No, it can't." "All right, come on over. I'll be at the church." I made it there in about 20 minutes. "Brother Anderson, I've already spoken with your wife. She's deeply remorseful, filled with pain, and afraid that you won't love her anymore. She expressed sincere regret and a genuine desire to make things right. From what she shared with me, I believe she should be forgiven and reinstated in your family and the church. She's hurting greatly from all of this." "Well, so am I. I need to talk to her, but she won't say anything until she's spoken to you. I love her, but I don't know how to trust her again. I don't know why, when, where, or with whom. I just feel lost. I can't tell you more than I already have. She is truly repentant and asking for forgiveness. Since God offers us forgiveness through repentance, I forgave her. Now it's up to you to pray and seek His guidance." That meeting with the bishop was the shortest I've ever had. He prayed with me before we spoke and again after we finished. Most of the meeting was filled with prayers about forgiveness, understanding, and the importance of a loving family. I returned home to find the children at school in Virginia, according to her calendar, out grocery shopping. She shopped at 3 different stores to stock up for our family of 7. The kids would help her unload and put things away when they got home. It was a routine I had become familiar with, but today, I was feeling lost. I was angry at her, and I didn't know how to move forward. I prayed. I begged for the strength to forgive her and to accept her back as my wife. I prayed for a long time, but I felt nothing change. Normally, prayer brought me peace, but not this time. I was too overwhelmed with anger, pain, and grief. I couldn't think clearly. I heard the kids coming in through the doors upstairs and went to greet them, still lost in my thoughts. The house quickly became busy with everyone putting away the groceries. Virginia had picked up takeout, as she often did after big shopping days. We gathered for dinner, which, on Thursdays, was one of the few times we all sat down together. We delayed dinner until 6:30 so that we could all be there. Robert gave the blessing, praying for the less fortunate, for the end of the war, for the safety of those involved, and for love, forgiveness, and understanding within our family. We ate mostly in silence. Once the kids cleared the dishes and loaded them into the dishwasher, Virginia asked to speak with me alone. She started to head for our bedroom. "Virginia, we're not talking in there. Not in our bedroom." I couldn't bring myself to talk to her in that space, which had always been our sanctuary. I walked outside to my car, and she followed me. I drove to the church parking lot, where there were a few cars, but it was mostly empty on a Thursday night. I parked, turned off the engine, and waited. Hiram, I confessed last night at family night. I won't say more. I'm asking for your forgiveness and understanding. This wasn't the response I was expecting. When did it happen? Why? Who was it with? I won't tell you any more, Hiram. What's done is done. Knowing the details will only hurt you more, and that's not something I want. I spoke with the bishop, and he believes I should have spoken with you before I confessed to the family and before I talked to him. You should have been the first to know since you are the head of this family. While he knows you're not happy with this, he's allowed me to do it this way. My grip on the steering wheel tightened. So, I'm not going to get any details about this betrayal? Hiram, it's for the best. If I tell you everything, you'll focus on the hurtful details, and it will only make it harder for you to forgive me. I know you love me, and we can move forward with our marriage. In time, I'll tell you, but not right now. Will you go to a marriage counselor with me? If you want to. But I'm not going there to tell you what I've done. I'll go to work on rebuilding our marriage. I'm not sure our marriage has a future. I need to know more about what happened. Are all the kids really mine? Hiram, I would never do that to you. Can we go home now? The kids will be worried. If that's all you're going to say, then yes, let's go home. My heart was heavy, and I was struggling to breathe. I was left stunned. I needed to know what had happened, but she wasn't willing to tell me. Anger rose up in me again. I stopped the car before leaving the parking lot and vomited. I could hear her softly crying as we made the short drive back home. The kids were in the front room when we arrived, and Emily was the one who spoke first. Mom, Dad, how did it go? Neither of us answered right away. Virginia was the first to speak. We still have a lot of work to do. It's hard, but your father is a loving man, and our family won't be torn apart. With the Lord's help, we can get through this trial and come out stronger on the other side. The kids seemed relieved to hear that, or at least relieved that divorce wasn't on the table. But I wasn't sure of anything, especially since Virginia hadn't told me what I needed to know. Friday was game day for Robert's soccer team, but it was also the last day we had to prepare for the upcoming contract negotiations. My staff had been working on the contract for weeks, but I still couldn't focus. The team had been preparing for over 3 weeks, but I felt myself slipping away mentally. I had to be called back to focus several times. It was a terrible day for me. Robert's team lost 2-1. He tends to blame himself for every loss, and he was quiet on the ride home. I wasn't much better. The house felt suffocatingly quiet. It was like we were all walking on eggshells, afraid to speak or laugh. I tucked the kids in, then went to Robert's room. Good night, Robert. Will you forgive her, Dad? I'm trying, Robert. I'm really trying. There is no try, just do. Robert, this is something your mother and I need to work through ourselves. Now get some sleep. I gave him a playful tap on the backside before heading to the master bedroom. Funny, it felt like it used to be our bedroom, but now it was just the master bedroom. Virginia was waiting for me, as always, naked. She was beautiful, but I couldn't stop thinking about what she had done. Hiram, we need to pray together. Virginia, I've been praying. I've prayed every hour, many times a day since your confession. I'm still hurt, angry, and I feel completely lost. It's like something has died, but there's been no funeral to give me closure. She knelt beside the bed and prayed for our family, for love, understanding, and forgiveness. When she finished, I repeated her prayer and got into bed, turning my back to her. I listened to her cry until she eventually quieted, and I finally fell asleep. The weekend didn't get any better. She knew what I needed to move past this, but she wouldn't give it to me. Without that, I felt stuck. I didn't want things to continue like this, but without her sharing the truth, I couldn't move forward. Sunday was the first time in my life I refused to partake in the sacrament. Virginia didn't refuse. She took it, and that only made me angrier. But I had an idea. Maybe I could resolve things in one move on Monday. I wasn't in any real shape to negotiate, but this contract was crucial. It would provide solid work for my 250 employees for the next few years. I entered the conference room last, finding only 5 people there, 2 of whom were crucial. Me and Donald Givens, the owner of Givens International, the biggest distributor of our surveillance devices. We were here to hammer out the details of a long-term deal. All right, Hiram, I've got a 10 a.m. flight to catch, so let's settle this fast. We'll see, Donald. We can wrap this up in 2 minutes. We both know our companies well. You have the numbers to understand what I can do. I want a 1% price reduction every year for the length of the contract. That will give you time to lower your costs, and I'll end up with a 4% reduction. I could feel the anger bubbling up again. We can't do that. We make the best, and if you want the best, you pay for it. You've been selling our products around the world for 6 years and making a good profit. This is our price. Take it or leave it. I wrote a figure on a piece of paper and slid it across the table toward him. Then I stood up and started to walk toward the door. There was silence behind me. My secretary followed me out. "Mr. Anderson, do you realize what you're doing? This wasn't part of the plan. We need this contract." I didn't respond. I walked to the restroom and vomited again. I might have just jeopardized the jobs of 250 people, possibly the company I had spent the last 15 years building. Or maybe I had just found a way out of my personal mess. I walked down the hall to the break room and grabbed a bottle of water with a large yellow rubber band wrapped around it. As I took a sip, my mind wandered. What was Virginia doing now? No, more like, who was she with now? I stood up. Maybe it was over. What would happen if everything fell apart? What would the kids do? What would I do? I walked back to the conference room. It was all or nothing now. They all looked up as I entered. "Well, are you going to make that 10 a.m. flight or not?" Donal asked, though there was no humor in his voice. "Yes, I'll make it. Your price is unreasonable. I won't accept it. I'll find another supplier." "Do you have someone better in mind?" "No. You have the best product." "Can you get better delivery dates?" "No. Your delivery dates are great. I've never had any issues with your deliveries." "Can you find better quality?" "No, the quality is outstanding. No one else offers a 3-year warranty." "Can you get a better deal?" "Other than price, no." "Donal, you've made a solid profit from my products for the last 6 years. Now I want a better deal. If you want to continue with this product, you have 2 choices, pay my price, or buy me out." The 10 a.m. flight left without Donal. By 4 p.m., the deal was done. We had called in the bankers in the afternoon, and everything had been finalized. I went home to my loving wife, knowing I had some family news to share with the children at our next family meeting. Virginia was concerned when I took Tuesday and Wednesday off. I rarely took time off, but she continued with her usual routine. It wasn't until Wednesday night, during the family meeting, that she and the children found out how I had solved my problem. When it was my turn to share about my week, I took a deep breath. "You know that your mother confessed to some sort of unfaithfulness last week. I've struggled with this, and I couldn't figure out how to forgive her or accept her back because I didn't trust her. So I did the only thing I could think of. I'm going to stay home with her. I'll be with her as much as I can. I'm here for you all, and for your mother." Robert was the first to ask a question. "What about your business? Can it run without you?" "I'll be working reduced hours until I've trained someone to handle everything. I'll stay for 1 more year, and then I'll be home with your mother for good." "But, Dad, they can't operate without you. They need you." "I've sold the business." The silence in the room was even heavier than when Virginia had confessed her adultery. No one spoke. I leaned back and watched my wife. She was crying again. "Oh, Hiram, what about the workers? They trusted you. Will the new owner care for them like you did?" "I'll be here with you. This decision will put the past behind us so we can move forward with our lives." "Hiram, we need to talk about this, just the 2 of us, now." "The car's waiting." Once again, we were parked in the church parking lot. "What have you done?" she asked. "I remember asking you that very same question. I've solved my trust problem. I'll be with you every day, and your infidelity won't happen again." "You sold the company to punish me?" "I sold the company to be closer to you, to watch over you, to protect you. I didn't know before that you needed that protection, but it's a small price to pay to be able to trust you again." "Can you back out of the deal?" "Do you mean, will I cancel the sale so I can stay busy with my company while you have time to do whatever you did before? You're going to watch me? Oh, what have I done? All those people who trusted you, the families who relied on you. And I ruined it all." She started to sob, her shoulders trembling. I watched her, waiting for the tears to subside or at least lessen. Since her confession, I had allowed her tears to fall without trying to hold her. She sniffled and looked up at me. "Is there any way you can call this off?" "Why should I?" "To protect your friends, your workers." "I need to protect you more." "I'll tell you everything. Tonight. I'll tell you everything." "Why? Do my workers mean more to you than I do? You wouldn't tell me to ease my pain, but now you want to tell me everything to ease their pain, even though they haven't felt it yet? You've made a mistake." Did you not make a mistake and refuse to tell me about it? Well, Virginia, I don't need to hear about your mistake now. You're my wife, and I'm the head of this family. I've made a decision, and I need you to live with it. What's the matter? Don't you trust me? Just trust me, wife. It's as easy for you as it is for me. I saw it in her eyes then. She finally understood what I had been going through all week. She realized that trust was the key to making everything in our family work. She had shaken my trust, and now, I had shaken hers. She had chosen not to trust me with whatever had happened, and I had chosen not to tell her about the sale of the business. When does the new owner take over? She asked quietly. As soon as the shareholders approve the sale. What stockholders? This is your company. You built it from an idea, your invention. There are no stockholders. Yes, there are. Years ago, I placed more than half of the stock into 5 trust accounts, one for each of the children. I never called for a stockholders meeting because I trusted my family to trust me to manage the company. I can call that meeting as soon as we get home and let the stockholders decide whether to accept the buyout or approve a sale of 25% of the company to Givens International. Hiram, what are you talking about? You sold the company. I did sell the company, but it's pending stockholder approval. The second deal is for 25% of the company. Donal gets a discount on his purchases, and in return, I get his support in fighting the patent infringements in the Far East. Now Donal has a vested interest in my company. He'll help us fight the knockoff artists copying our product. Virginia looked confused. You didn't sell the company? You made a deal to get help for your company? You let me think that you? No, I didn't sell the company. Yes, I made a deal to get help fighting competition. And yes, I let you think whatever you wanted, just like you did to me. Her face shifted through a series of emotions: shock, fear, worry, anger, and then, finally, understanding. It was like she realized that everything had worked out for the better. I think that's when my wife truly understood what trust meant. As the smile spread across her face, she looked so beautiful. I don't have to tell you what happened? No. You're not going to divorce me? Divorce my loving wife? Me? Never. I love you, Hiram. Good. Now, can we go home? The kids will be worried. Also, I need a couple of votes from the stockholders. It was done. My wife had shaken my trust, and I had shaken hers, but our trust in God had never wavered. Later that night, my wife wore her wedding dress, and it wasn't even our anniversary.